Ladies and gentlemen, at long last, after months of preparation, after 500,000 votes, after deliberation and comment gathering and recording and editing and all that goodness, you've been patient, you have been diligent, and now it is time to officially begin the CR-Volcanic Community Monster Fan Polls. Did your favorite win? Were you loud and proud enough about the best of the best? You had your time, you had your chances, I let you speak your mind on all of the monsters. For the most part though, the comments are going to be celebratory of the monsters we're dealing with here. You know, we want to be appreciating the entire fantastic bestiary of Monster Hunter, but let us kick this project off with the least voted, the least popular. Is it the same as the original? At the bottom of the list, number 228, Seadrome. Try to get an old gen Monster Hunter. Free Night Seadrome sent me right to Portable Third. He's so cool until I have to fight him. Needs a remaster really bad. Like with Gravios, who definitely needs less work. If given the kinda overhaul that Garuga had, this dude could be a huge success. A sand shark with a Diplocaulus head should be one of my favorites, and it hurts me that it isn't. One of my contenders for worst monster in the series. Any redeeming factors he may have once had were annihilated when Nibblesnarf arrived. Goodbye, you ugly fish. May we never meet again. Seadrome exists, that's for sure. The fight on land isn't too bad, pretty much just a weaker Lavasioth with less questionable hitboxes, along with his own unique moves when he's swimming in the sand. Not an awful monster, but not a monster I would willingly fight over and over again, even if the gear is good. A low 2 out of 5. A truly boring experience. Being underground means it decides the pace of the fight, but with a number of attacks that you can count on one hand. That pace is always slow and never engaging. 1 star. However, never forget, Cepha dromed so that Nibble could snarf. 1 word. Perish. Number 227. Purple Gypos. I like that his poison puddles in 4U flow towards the lowest point, and that he can spit them at the ceiling to make them drip. Literally forgot he exists. Deserves his place in the bottom 10. Well, he is purple. Gypos as a species, I think, is too far ahead of his time for his own good. He is armed to the teeth with all these abilities and tricks that make excellent anti-predator defenses in games where the interactions between monsters didn't exist. So, he turns into a bit of an obnoxious fight. He's not that fondly remembered by the majority at all and has been hard replaced by Pookie in the 5th gen. And he has a subspecies who is effectively just a recolor. This guy has a lot acting against him. If Gypos can make it back into the series and get a glow up to let him fit in, I do hope that purple can return and better differentiate himself to justify it. I would start with making purple stick to jungle maps instead of swamps, and probably giving him a new status element the original didn't have. Remove poison and flash to be replaced with soiled and fatigue. They could double down on the play dead gimmick and make purple Gypos a predator of small monsters and endemic life that attracts prey by smelling like an old kill. Number 226. Steel Uragon. As the resident Uragon fanboy, I just can't help but again really like this guy. It's Uragon with an alright twist and an incredible color scheme. I for one don't find Stench to be as bad or annoying of a status as apparently a good chunk of the fandom does, but I can see where people are coming from. But despite that, to me, the subspecies isn't bad. It's a decent take at my number 2 monster of all time, and really that's all it needed to be for me to love him. Really weird how hated this monster is, especially the accusations of being bland, given that it's probably directly responsible for inspiring Glavenus and acidic Glavenus, and in general is quite striking and beautiful to look at. I like Steel Uragon more than the original because it uses its ore more. In my opinion, it uses Stench well. Uragon is fast and covers a lot of ground. Not being able to heal adds the tension. I also like it because it's like being chased by a boulder without being able to heal yourself. Just because it's the fewest people's favorite doesn't mean it's actually bad. The hate feels really forced, and I'm not even a big fan of Uragon. The iridescent shell and red chin makes for a striking look, and Soiled is a good status effect that's quite underutilized actually. I honestly liked Steel Uragon. His colors were amazing, especially compared to Crystalbeard. Plus, while he does have an annoying status effect in Soiled, the fact that he can spread it via his chin slam is pretty neat, even if it's a little annoying. Then there's the realization I had that his rocks blowing status out of them is just like Crystalbeard's. While I am mentioning a lot of annoying points, I really appreciate this monster for being a small change from the regular one. He's a mid-low 3-star for me. Also, hot take, Steel Uragon is better than Crystalbeard. Crystalbeard doesn't really add add much to his moveset and uses a status that's on the original monster. Number 225, Crystalbeard Uragon. Apparently, there were plans to reward the player with a ton of money and high-selling items for fighting Crystalbeard. Having a monster that's specifically for grinding Zenny isn't the best idea, but it's not the worst either. Had it been a rare species with a big payout, I wouldn't mind it so much. As it stands though, yeah, worst deviant. 2 out of 5. Okay, Crystalbeard was insanely funny to me for only the reason that with my friend, we were spending the entire fight just mining him to death. You could mine him when he fell, and also his sleeping rocks could be mined. Sometimes they could get you an item that was worth like 50k. My hatred for Crystalbeard Uragon knows no bounds. I am a certified Crystalbeard hater. This thing has no purpose, and we could have had a deviant for so many other much more deserving monsters, like Lagiacrus, Soregios, Zamtrios, Nersilla, Volvidon, literally anything. But no, the one person at Capcom who really loves Uragon had to give him a worthless, near-identical deviant. 1 star, incredibly biased, and I will never apologize. I have a theory that Crystalbeard was unfinished because his icon and armor show a red Uragon, but in-game he's just a big, regular-looking Uragon with crystals. It's an annoying fight, sure, but I'll be damned if that set didn't make charm farming in base gen so much better. As well as Gen Ultimate, until he unlocked and mastered the fast method of killing the Brachydios in the coal farming DLC quest over and over again. Number 224, Bulldrome. 5 out of 5 because his mount animation is the best and funniest by far. You just need a cowboy hat to complete the feel of holding on for dear life on top of a boar. He charges, that's it. And he's very annoying when he does it. The devs knew what they were doing when they gave us deviant quests with the deviant and a Bulldrome as the target. In concept, I absolutely love the guy. The mohawk and face scruff does a lot to convey his aggression and position as a leader of a group. He reminds me of a grizzled old biker, and his kinship attack in the stories too really endeared me to him. Obviously, he'd need a serious moveset shakeup, but I think there's way more potential for this guy than most. Could absolutely see him digging up logs or dirt and tossing them kind of like Bonbro, or rolling them around like Baroth. Definitely another one of those monsters I could see migrating to the medium category if they decided to create that. 4 stars in concept just for the visual execution. It fits really well for me. 2 in practice considering his woefully simple fight. Perfect second large monster in my opinion. Bulldrome is an aggressive tutorial on spacing and watching and predicting a monster's actions. I also think her animations are cute and silly, the way she trots off when she leaves the zone. She's got places to be. One of my favorite early game monsters. He's fine in the early game, albeit pretty boring. It's just when they slap him in a bunch of arena quests to annoy you as you try to hunt actual monsters that I come to hate him. He truly exists just to piss the hunter off. Number 223, Iodrome. 4 out of 5. Great Roggy before Great Roggy. Has the benefits of the previous dromes, him being an early game monster that introduces you to elements and statuses. And he has a unique design compared to the rest of the dromes in this period. Poison is a simple yet effective thing and helps make sense for his ecology where he eats bugs. Simple, works, it's all good. I rate him 3 out of 5. Iodrome was supposed to be tanky compared to the other drome homies, becoming available after Velociodrome and then Gendrome. He is encountered in a tougher region, the volcano, than the others. Of course, poison status can be annoying, but it's extra dangerous in the volcano where the heat already saps your health. I always treat Iodrome with respect and take him out first when hunting larger monsters. I like his poison frog look and the cool crest. I remember hunting him a lot for parts to make poison sword and shield. His design is drastically different from the other dromes, but his fight is largely the same, aside from his new projectile attack, which is an AoE in Gen 4. I think he was better about this in 4th Gen, but I remember in Freedom Unite in particular, he had way too much health for his fight. I don't dislike this monster at all, but I think he deserves better. While I call Jaggy the successor to Velociodrome, I think that the Great Roggy hard replaces Iodrome. Velociprey made it into Sunbreak for nostalgia fan service, but he left his cousins behind. He's certainly unique, but his design doesn't really appeal to me. And he's too tanky for how limited his move pool is. I'd love a harder raptor monster, but this guy ain't it. He has so much health. Why won't he die? Number 222, Queen Vespoid. I love what they were trying to do with Queen Vespoid. You can see them trying to do kind of like an early version of an insect monster like Celtus Queen or Raknakadaki, but unfortunately they were a little bit too early with this idea. 2 out of 5 for this one. Never fought her, but I like the idea and design. Although the fight doesn't look great, I think it's a neat gimmick, and I would like to see something similar, maybe just with a better fight in Wilds. Honestly, the fact that it is 2 moves only isn't really that different compared to other second generation early game monsters like Velocidrome and Bulldrome, so I don't know, I can kind of let that slide. And those few moves makes it kind of fun. The gimmick to buff the smaller Vespoids if you get hit is pretty great. I'd be okay to see a rework of this somewhere in the future. I'm a simple creature. I see Big Bug. I like Big Bug. I want Big Bug. Vespoid Queen has a lot of potential to be a wonderful addition. Sure, she may be more of a joke monster right now and really kind of only has 2 moves, but I believe that she could easily become a great monster. She'll need a design overhaul, kinda just a big Vespoid right now, but then again, that's what all the dromes were, so 2 out of 5. Probably biased being the bug lover I am, but I don't care. I don't mind it, honestly. I wish we had more from her, though. But her appearance is decent, her concept is fun, and I think the only thing holding her back is her creation and execution, which could all be fixed. Number 221, Geodome, the cooler Velocidrome. Literally, 3 out of 5. I think it's cool that they took White Velociprey and said, let's give it a drone boss. Weird that they straight up made it a different species rather than a proper subspecies of Velocidrome, though. Anyway, I want him back. The white and blue aesthetic actually looks quite good on it. I know it's basically a recolored Velocidrome, but I wouldn't say it's horrible. Obviously, Geodrome is a very basic monster, and I can't rate it too high due to a lot of later raptors being a lot more interesting, but for being essentially a subspecies of already not the best monster, it's not the worst thing in the world. Velocidrome Deluxe Edition, now in icy white. Pre-order now, and we throw in 2 Velociprey absolutely free. 2 out of 5. I just love how technically we, the hunters, witness this monster's evolution. It is only a rare variant in MH1, and it becomes a separate species in 2nd gen altogether. Number 220, Green Plesioth. I do think I prefer this aesthetic over the original. I quite like how vibrant the colors are. Green Plesioth, I think, is a visually beautiful subspecies who I would dare say looks even better than the original. In gameplay, I can't even remember the difference between him and the original other than you find him in the jungle maps more often than not. I think what would make him stand out better in future games would be to do to him like Ivory Lagiacrys does for Lagiacrys and make him more of a land fight than a water one. He definitely should stay in the jungle for sure. I think he looks great there. If I had to choose only one to come back, it'd be the original, so that's why I give Green a 2, because as it is, there's not enough going for Greenie that the OG doesn't already do. The word is hyperspace. Plesioth with a significantly better color scheme, and I've never found the early subspecies gripe of them being too similar to the original monster to be that much of an issue. If anything, if the subspecies has some small aspect that I like more or a notably better color scheme, I tend to prefer it over the original monster. 3 out of 5. Number 219, Lavasioth. Lavasioth used to be fine. Not stellar, but he was a fine monster. Then World happened, and well, we all know how that went. He was a 3 out of 5, and became a 1 out of 5. Let's call him a 2. For pre-world standards, he's got such a fast-paced and frantic fight. His fish-like sporadicness as he jumped around is weirdly unique, and then you combo that with him digging around and stuff. Post-world, it was just flat-out sad to see him being called a worse Ignactor. His unique movement, gone. His new magma armor mechanic does not flow well, and above all, I even started getting annoyed at Ignactor for people using him as a be-all and end-all pedestal against Lavasioth. This guy needs a proper redemption as my favorite Piscean Wyvern. 3 out of 5. When this fish has some personality and he isn't coated in a pain in the ass, guaranteed deflect armor, he's legit, honest to God, fun. I had a blast with Lavasioth in 4th gen, but the changes made in 5th gen are purely downsides to go with the fact that Pisceans were obviously an emergency flex pick for World to add in. He's genuinely just a great monster. I say this while, of course, ignoring his state and world because that would be completely unfair. He's got interesting and innovative combat in both Frontier and GU. He's got respectable weapon and armor designs, except for the stats. He's overall a really very cool monster. 4 out of 5. Hashtag fix the fish. Number 218, Jotunus. Honestly, Jotunus isn't half bad. His fight went from just forgettable to something more engaging and personality filled, like how he pirouettes across the water or his hit and run mud attack, where he'll spit mud, run, spit it again, run, spit a last time. So weirdly endearing in an underdog type of sense. That and his armor is really cool somehow, mixing perfectly between gladiator and fish in a cohesive way. He may not be spectacular, but I will stand up for him even if most won't. Plus, his Rise icon looks like he wants a polite handshake, and that is what I live for. 3 out of 5. Jotunus is a monster I don't love, but I'm glad exists. Monster Hunter needs monsters like Jira to make the world feel more organic. Not everything can or should just be a Zinogre. Another monster that is overhated, though I won't lie and say it's anything spectacular. I do enjoy that you can knock off its mud armor with puddle pods and that it drops thorn pods to abuse its stun weakness. Certainly loses points for being a Lavasioth recolor, though I think I'd like it a fair bit more if it were more distinct. They make it work like Radobon, but not so much here, unfortunately. Yeah, his world fight is alright, but something about him in Rise really hit the spot for me. It's nothing to blow your socks off, but it's pretty darn good. Something about his Rise variation just feels more natural and fun. Maybe it's the faster pace, as most of World Zero was just running after him and getting stuck in the mud. Rise made all of that a lot easier to deal with. 4 out of 5. Honestly, it's not a monster that I'm actively looking to fight, but if it comes up, it's fine enough. Literally the definition of mid. That's fine. Number 217, Gendrome. Possibly my favorite runner raptor. Aesthetically with the desert camel print and the gnarly snake fangs. While he may just be Velocidrome with paralysis, it is still a status unique to him compared to any other raptor. 3 out of 5. Weapons and gear are actually pretty solid, but being a drome type monster immediately means the moveset is spammy, small, and not too fun for most weapons to deal with. Death Prize, Sword and Shield. In terms of moveset, it's Velocidrome with paralysis, which can be annoying with that particular moveset. But I think it's mostly fine. In terms of design, I love the muted green, orange, and yellow. It fits its desert environment very well, which makes it feel like it's built more for ambush than Velocidrome, paralyzing its prey. Its crests and mustache fangs also make it stand out in a good way to me. They do a good job conveying the paralysis ailment to the player visually. He's actually my favorite drome design. I like the crest and the snake fangs, and he's a good desert raptor, but suffers from the same issues all dromes have, which is being a very simple fight with like 3 attacks. So like Velocidrome, he's a middle of the road 3 from me. Number 216, Gypos. Used to despise him. Now, I mean, he's imperfect, but he's charming in his own way. I actually find Gypos really intriguing. His garish colors, his poisonous spew, the rubbery hide, and his ghoulish psychotic face feels like you've personified the Dark Ages as a monster. 3 out of 5. I like Gypos way more than I should, honestly. Gypos is a pretty goofy design. The crest is a fun way to explain the flashes. It's ugly, no doubt, but if every monster was as pretty as a Mizu, then they wouldn't be special, so it's good to have a contrast. I've said it before, but I've never found the fight too annoying. Most of the moves are a basic bird wyvern affair, only with a bit of poison added in. I don't find poison that bad as a status, unlike a lot of people, so this never really bothered me. Gypos is flashing while causing the worst status, has a very generous window to run away, or to block, and it's not too bad to deal with. The item stealing is more charming than anything. Playing dead is such a unique and fun gimmick that just doesn't reach its full potential. I think that describes my major issues with Gypos, though. It doesn't expand on its unique attributes enough. Yes, I'm arguing Gypos needs to be more annoying. They need to come back with a vengeance and torment new players. I want people to suffer. 3 out of 5. He's pretty good. Generally do not understand why he's so hated even a bit. He's nowhere near my favorite or anything, but Gypos is fun. Pretty simple moveset and a rather entertaining personality. His design is decent too. The beak he has looks pretty interesting. I like that you can see his teeth in there. His tail is odd, but that's fine. The weirdo vibe he gives in every aspect works pretty damn well for him. Also, the playing dead thing is still absolutely incredible, and you cannot change my mind. The shining rubber bird gets 3.1 stars from me, rounded to 3. Gypos is the goofy goofball who tries a bit too hard. The poison and flash abilities make him a bit of a nuisance, but the goofy fake deaths bring him back from the 1-star tomb into the 2-star improv show. He is so annoying. Perfectly so. See, Monster Hunter needs these kinds of monsters that just make you go, oh, damn it, I need materials from this once in a while. I like his mannerisms, too. Number 215, Red Kezu. Such a cool idea to have Kezu be this ghastly blood red color, having him be even more like a horror creature. Plus how he flips the idea of a subspecies on its head by possibly being the original creature. It's such a creative idea. Haven't fought him recently, but I remember being impressed on his ways to juke you out with his lightning as well. 4 out of 5. I've decided to play through MH4U again recently, and boy did this monster leave an impression. I had just recently gotten to high rank, which I never did as a kid, and decided to grind some Nursilla for a new high rank armor set. I did not particularly enjoy fighting Nursilla and had to deal with good old Monster Hunter RNG, and it took a while to get all the materials. And after all of that, the next quest I decided to do involved Red Kezu, and he proceeded to lob 3 massive lightning balls across the entire zone, which is a move I had never seen before. The first one hit me and paralyzed me, and without ever letting me get up, he carded me from almost full health. After all that frustration, it pissed me off so much I could have thrown my DS, and now Red Kezu has definitively submitted himself as my least favorite monster. Red Kezu is a fantastic subspecies. He's everything I already loved about Kezu and then some. His increased agility and much more extensive lightning use is absolutely outstanding. 5 out of 5. All the original attacks it has are amazing, and he's got that cool lore too. Honestly, I like him more than the regular Kezu. 4 out of 5. Number 214, King Shakalaka. It's really weird fighting humanoid creatures in Monster Hunter, and its design doesn't really do it any favors. If it ever comes back, I hope we don't have it as a fightable boss. I'm shocked nobody remembers that they did an homage to this guy in the Witcher Hunt and world. For what it's worth, I'd love to see them revamp him because I think he's an awesome piece of world building, but man, is the fight boring as is. If they ever expand monster categories with medium monsters, he'd be a good candidate. 4 out of 5 potential, as is 2 out of 5. Fun design and personality, but strange as an actual boss monster fight. I honestly don't have much to say. 1 out of 5. They should bring him back as an NPC that you can interact with. That'd be neat. 3 out of 5. Honestly, I think it's nice that we have a big bad for the shocks out there, and it's nice that it has a lot of personality and quirkiness, though there's not much else I can attribute to him. Just a nice little guy. 3 stars. He's a silly, small monster that uses the cat skeleton. He beats you to death with a piece of meat that he cooks on his barbecue helmet. What's not to love about that? The idea is so beautifully silly, but yeah, the moveset is forgettable. So, a 5-star idea and a 1 to 2-star execution. So, he's like a 3 or so. Number 213, Ashen Lao Shan Lung. As is, it's basically the normal Lao. I think if brought to 6th generation, changed into a variant instead of a subspecies, and given a gimmick, maybe using the ash covering its hide like blast dust, and multiple unique attacks, it could be a solid 4 out of 5. As it is, canonically, its description in the wiki is more impressive than it in-game. So, I think it should honestly be a very generous 2 out of 5. The only reason it gets a 2 is because of the fact that it's still a Lao Shan Lung, has a decent color scheme, and to my knowledge, interesting looking weapons. I honestly don't know what Ashen does different than regular Lao. People who didn't play the old games will act like Green Plesioth, Purple Gypos, or Red Kezu are the most copy-paste subspecies out there, but don't even know that this motherfucker exists. I love Lao, but this is easily the lamest subspecies in the series. The longsword was my go-to dragon weapon for a while in Unite though, and the blue weapons look better than the red ones in my opinion. Couldn't find anything on the dubiously accurate wiki about this thing's meaningful differences from normal Lao. I think it's like just different hit zones. Genuinely the most nothing burger subspecies I can think of, and allegedly it's not even really a subspecies, it's just a Lao covered in volcanic debris. Okay then, at least the colors look alright. 1 out of 5. I guess they just wanted a harder version of their only siege quest at the time. Gray's kinda cool, I guess.